What's going on? Trevor Silver, aka Trevor's Life Lessons, back with another Feature Friday, and my host,
Aaliyah Arab Smith.
Oh shoot, my bad. My co-host,
Aaliyah, and we're here with a fantastic guest. But before we get into that, per usual, we want to give a shout out to Shift Key Labs for their ongoing collaboration and support.
and shout out to the local black businesses like R&B Kitchen, Legends Barbershop. You know, keeping me fresh for the fade every time you see me.
No, for sure. So first off, it's a pleasure having you, Lance. This is Lance, also known as Aquakultre. So
Yes,
thank you
indeed.
for joining us. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me. I'm
For
excited
sure.
about this.
Yes, pleasure, brother. I'm very excited to dive in, get to see you. You know, connect with you.
Yeah,
catch up.
absolutely.
We haven't seen each other in a while, so let's just dive right in. I guess maybe talk about your upbringing, where you grew up, where you're from, stuff like that.
Where I grew up, well, there's an interesting thread that I keep on mentioning to folks. My first 8 years of life was out Spryfield, Nova Scotia. You guys know where Spryfield, Nova Scotia is?
Oh yeah, Sprite.
Spryfield for me, like I always felt like, because I always felt like that was where I was my true authentic self. Like, you know what I mean? Like I felt really comfortable around the area. Like the community was super cool because, and like just like most communities anyways, but they're changing. Like everybody's families were cool. Like mothers were always in touch with each other. They were hanging with each other. So you felt very safe around the neighborhood. Obviously there was like a lot of, there were some risks at being that young and running around by yourself. But I was instilled very young to have like a sense of independence, sense of confidence. So like I was always outside. And like Spryfield, man, I just remember it like always being in the woods, very adventurous, like just hanging with everybody, all the kids outside. And when we moved into North End, Halifax, like Uniacke Square area, it was the same. Like there was a lot of kids outside, but it was absolutely different. Like I wasn't used to being around like a lot of black people at that point, right? Like, yeah, there was a lot of black people in Spryfield, but it was super mixed. Like it was like very integrated. Given its history, it's very interesting. Like where I remember like my aunt and my grandmother telling me about like a certain like a race riot that happened out there at some point. Like Spryfield used to be called Carson Street, apparently, like where like the area that I was in. And and to in my first 8 years of life to really kind of have that thing of like, oh, it's so integrated, it's so like comfortable here, but knowing like 20 years ago that's what happened. And then coming to the square was like, damn, this is different. This is different. But like it took me a while to get used to. Like I wasn't used to Marquise Clayton.
Shout out Marquise. Everybody knows whoever's watching this and they're from here, you know Marquise. Shout out Marquise.
That was my first hobby, man. Like Marquise, we've been through a lot. That's my homie.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I mean, and then coming to Uniacke Square, Mara was my homie, and it wasn't the same. Like there was a lot of like I remember coming into the square and like it was pitch black. Like lights were out. The Dixon field was there was the baseball field at that point. There was a lot of bushes around. It was encouraged for us to not go in the Dixon at night. Like it was encouraged. Like my mom told me, like, guys, don't walk up the square at night. Don't walk up the Dixon at night. And I'm a very like, you can't. I got to go check that. You're gonna tell me not to do something?
I'm gonna do it. Like,
I'm gonna go do it.
Definitely doing that.
So like, and it was just really cool. Like it was very welcoming. Like I remember my first, the first person to come up and holler at me, like being a new person in the neighborhood, Keena Izzard.
Okay.
I don't know if
Shout out
anybody knows
Keena.
Keena Izzard, but Keena.
I grew up in the square on the
Okay,
weekends.
sorry.
I know Keena.
My bad, sorry. But
he said, my bad.
my bad.
Shout out Keena too.
Shout out to Keena. But Keena came up to my door and was like, "Oh, you're new? Yes, come outside, come meet everybody." Like that was a fond memory I have of like being welcome in the community.
Core memory.
Yeah. And me and Keena, like we had our discrepancies in like junior high and stuff. I remember we fought. It was actually interesting.
She bought you so you hit, eh?
Oh, she Keena don't play around.
Yeah.
And like going to St. Pat's, Alexandra, again, different dynamic. Like it was different, but it was a good experience overall because a lot of the kids were hanging with each other. I remember teenage years because like a lot of us, like boys, girls, like teenagers that were kind of going through that system of like, you know, being in school, like we all kind of felt that we were going through the same stuff, right? And we stuck
100%.
together. Like we were in the lanes together. Like we would, and we had our backs. Like, you know what I mean? Most of us grew up in like single parent homes and stuff, and like we were just outside, really talking about stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like what you'd see now, like with like I work for an organization called Levo Violence, and like it's a lot of like youth empowerment, a lot of youth leadership, and like the conversations we have, it's very like to empower. It's like everyday life stuff, like how to get through that, like you know, being comfortable asking your parents about certain things, being comfortable talking about sex, drugs, and all that stuff. Like we would do that in the lane, like, and like it was, and we would ask each other, like, okay, why are you hanging over Dartmouth? Like, why do you feel like you got to go to Mulgrave Park, or like, are you safe in these areas? Like, we had each other's backs. It was really cool to have that dialogue as teenagers. Like, we were really, really close. And it kind of over the years, it kind of started diminishing. I find like going into the neighborhoods now, it's not the same. Like, there's not a lot of kids outside. There's not a lot of like hanging with each other. There's like no one got each other's backs no more. Like it's very interesting.
More disconnected, but they're more connected online through social media and stuff like that.
Yes, and social media is a gift and a curse. Like
that's true.
I feel like since it's come into play in our lives, like it's doing everything. It's doing the opposite of what it's meant to do. Like, you know, we're connected. Yeah, I can talk to somebody from Japan like this, but like I really feel like it's disconnecting us from this.
Yes. I find it super polarizing, where it's like it connects us to it gives us the ability to be connected, but then it also polarizes us with certain views. Like, you're on this side, I'm on this side, and then oh, you post about this, oh, I'm really posting about this, and I'm on that side. You know, the divide. Yeah,
it's still alive and present.
Yeah,
like, oh man, it's gnarly. Like we can't even agree on. We can't even agree on things.
Yeah,
like,
on
one
anything.
side or the other.
On anything.
It's like, did he do it?
Yeah.
What does the law say? What I find too is like, I just wish that we would do a lot more of that. Like as you know, peers and teens growing up, or like youth growing up. Like I really wish that we would just continue to talk to each other and like not talk to each other through a screen.
Yep.
And just like really kind of like just do this. And
communicating. You know, and I find even like going back to what you were saying about when you were 8, when you were in Spratfield, you were your true authentic self. And I think back to when I was 8, when I was that age, it's like that's when you're being yourself before you get to the world and they start to change you or get you through that conveyor belt to where you got to be like this. Don't do that. Be like this. And it's like for us as young teens, it's like you want to fit in, you want to be cool, you want to do this. And I think like me and you grew up in the same generation, so I think we both had similar energies or similar type of
experiences and stuff. Yep.
Yeah. So then it's like going from when you were 8 being true, and then because like I know you now, and it's like I feel like, and even me, my own self, is like from that 8 to whenever you found yourself again. You know what I mean? Maybe talk about when you did find yourself again, and what age were you when? Because to me, like, you're one of the most authentic people I see in community, and I respect that. And it vibrates frequency that allows others to be their authentic self. Like, so I take that energy from you, and like, he's his self, I'm being myself, and I hope to inspire someone else to be their self. So maybe dive in with that.
Yeah, it took a while to get there because, like, as you mentioned, like 8, I was cool. Like, this is me. But then coming into a new environment and like really having to navigate that new environment, I felt like I was being groomed and influenced to become something that I was absolutely not, right? Like, I would say around 13, 14-ish, like I just understood, like, when I was growing up in Uniac Square, like, I was absolutely different from every single person there. Like, the way that people operated there, like, they were my homies, like, everybody, like, we're rocking together, but like, I felt like my thinking was a bit more worldly, more broad, like, not so confined to a box, like, you know, really wanting to experience life outside of Uniac Square, like really experience going to Dartmouth and hanging over there and seeing what was popping with my homie Julian. You know what I mean? And just like traveling to, like, just by myself too, like going to Bedford and just really trying to experience life on my own terms,
Yeah,
right?
getting outside the hood, getting outside the box.
Yeah, yeah, and like and just hanging with different peers in high school, like you know what I mean. Like, it's interesting because people. There's one thing that someone mentioned to me is like, Lance, you're always walking around with like the weirdest white person I ever met in my life. Like you're always walking around with some weird white guy. I'm like, cuz I'm just so leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like we connect. Like leave me alone. It was just interesting. But it took a while, like 15, 16, 17, I was getting in trouble a lot. Like I was running around a lot, like just being like mischievous, getting arrested, but also really understanding of how preyed upon our neighborhood was with the police and like those type of systems, like really kind of like making us feel like we were so boxed in, like we didn't have anything else. So like I understand like the policing in our neighborhoods, we were targeted, right? But I was just hanging around with folks that were just like, cuz let's go do this, all right? But just hanging around with folks and like really trying to just not necessarily was like a lot of my views, like just for an example, like, you know, people were like, man, let's go hitting. Like, you know what I mean? Let's go break into a house or something. Like, it's not necessarily my view. It's just like, I'm just with my homies and I'm trying to make sure that they are okay. Like they're making the right decisions in this. That's a terrible way to spin it, but just making sure they're safe within this notion to go break into a house.
Definitely.
So like, I'm doing a lot of like, stuff that I wouldn't consider myself. Like I'm trying to find my way in this. I'm trying to find my way in these different peer groups and like within this community, but also trying to find my way in the content that we're being showed, right? Because like
on TV,
what movies were we rocking with back in the day? Juice, Belly,
bullshit.
Yeah, like.
So that's what we were identifying with. So when we're out there in the streets, someone says, "Oh, let's go do this." We're in similarly the mob mentality to where like, okay, we're all doing it, and then we all start to do it, and then it goes right, it goes left, and then you know what I mean. Like think about some of the people that we grew up with. It's like they're no longer here or they're no longer free.
Yeah.
And when you think about those people that identified with that lifestyle or the movies that they consumed, it's like we identify with being this thing that's not really who we are. It's who we think we are because that's what the media feeds us. We like I often talk about on this podcast is that as a young black male, what you consume is who you're going to think you are, especially if you don't have any other males to look up to in your community that are, you know what I mean, that you look up to. So it's the movies are who you think you are, like the Bellies and the Juice and those type of movies versus just imagine if you didn't play basketball, you don't have those basketball inspirational movies to look up to, like loving basketball. Like me, I wasn't a basketball player. I couldn't play ball, so I was doing more badder stuff. So it's like figuring out who we are, and then also we need people like us now to tell people this ain't who we are.
This ain't who we are.
You know what I mean? And that's why I think being your authentic self, being my authentic self, you being your authentic self, it allows us to shine light on and it gives other people permission to not be what they see on TV, to not see what they see on social media. Because like to me, I think like Nas kind of like allowed me like listening to his music to see stuff is like we used to think like our authentic nigganess is like being these people that we see on TV and in the media, but it's not.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's like it goes hand in hand with diet. Like if you're eating McDonald's 24/7 because you're gonna feel like a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just with the content.
Yeah, the content, your brain, like Ross was on a previous episode and he talked about what we consume. If we're consuming negativity, then we're gonna create negativity. If we're just eating food that's bad, like, and when I say consuming, I mean consuming content in your brain, like all that negativity. And then when you think about your friends and your group of friends that you're hanging with, if they're doing all bad stuff, then everybody's gonna be doing the bad stuff.
It's a peer pressure thing too.
Yeah,
it's
peer pressure, 100%.
And I notice it too, especially, and oh my god, like that thing of like, and you can witness it so early too. Like the thing of like, if everybody else is doing it, you're gonna do it, right? Like I watched it so like clearly when Jules, my wife Julia, and we had our daughter Georgina, right? And Georgina's going to daycare. And I drop, like when you drop this particular daycare, when you drop your child off, like you get to stay for a day to kind of see like what they do, right? So I witnessed like 18-month-old babies, toddlers, children, like dropping water on the ground and going and get the like cleaning up after themselves and like pouring drinks for themselves and like sharing with each other. I was like, okay, yeah, you're fine. Like this is good. Like Georgina, you're good. But it's because like in eating vegetarian food, like these toddlers, it was at Tiny Lab where she went, they were specifically on the diet of like vegetarian vegan, right? So like Georgina don't eat that at home. Like she's not, you put a carrot in front of her, she's not. But like when she sees everybody else doing it, like if she's elsewhere outside of the home, she's gonna do it. And I just witnessed that. Like if everybody's doing it collectively, it starts there. Like that's the earliest example of it. And like it doesn't stop as you get older. It's just like we just kind of we're in it, so we don't see it. Yeah. Right? Like you always, and that's why I feel like fatherhood is so important. And like coaching is so important because like you got someone on the outside looking in. Shout out to Mom Dukes who really work they arse off to really like raise us. You know what I mean? But like they're so in it, they're entrenched. Like it's like, you know, and they do the most work, like unpaid most work. Like it's just like ingrained in our Mom Dukes to really do that. But like I feel like dads, you know, they're kind of like on the outside and they're looking in, right? They're like they observe things and like they can really kind of give you the real and kind of give you the coaching that you need. And I feel like without that, like we're just gonna continue to be stuck in something, not really see the outside picture.
100%. And I find like podcasts like this where we're talking about certain stuff like that is important for the younger people to take this in. Because when you think about a father figure or a coach or whoever, you need to find someone that's positive. Because I've seen people that got mentored by gangsters and they become gangsters. Yeah. That's who they looked up to. That's who guided them. And that's who was basically their downfall. But then I see people that look up to basketball coaches, find someone that genuinely cares about them and that wants to see them win. But it's hard when you don't know for sure who wants to see you win. Like you think the gangster guy's cool or you think the pimp is cool, so then you're taking their advice. And for me, I had gangster mentors, I have pimp mentors, but they also have gave me real advice of you don't want to do this. Yeah. And I feel like it's important it's hard for you to take it in as a youth because you think like, oh, you're telling me to not do this, but you're doing it. But if it wasn't for you, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now because you tell me to be myself. You tell me to not do what everyone else is doing. You know, monkey see, monkey do. It's important to tap into your true self, build your true self, but also recognize mentors that are trying to lead you in the right direction. And for us, it's super important to have a father figure because that's where, and to be a father figure for someone else. Like for example, like I'm sure you did and I did and you might have is guys in community that lead you in the right direction. There's one guy up home that I remember when I was driving around, no license. I was probably only like 13, 14, driving around with my uncle's car. You know what I mean? Got rims on it. I'm blasting the music thinking I'm cool. And then
about to get arrested.
So then one of my cousins, he pulls up, shout out TJ Willis, Blacktop. He pulls up and he's like, "What are you doing? Like, go home and like, you know what I mean?" He like basically I'm getting in trouble from him, and I'm saying, "Man, this guy ruining my cool, ruining my fun." But like he looking back is like he wasn't ruining my fun. He was looking out for me. He was wanted what's best for me, and to look at him and see where he is today, and like he's given me so much advice over the years that he probably don't even know that he's given me from either watching him and from either asking him like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And he's giving me pure advice that's gonna help me to go where I'm going. And I think it's important to follow the people that are successful, but also ask them questions. Don't follow the people that are failures or people that are your peers because your peers are only going to know basically what you know. Yeah. It's the people that have got the 20, 30 years of experience that can give you the real game and that can help you be successful. Would you rather get advice from, let's say, like a random person on the street or someone that's multi success in different areas to where, like, for example, for you, you have success in music. So why would someone ask me about music advice when I don't know nothing about music? I ain't even got no rhythm. You know what I mean? Like the only thing I can tell you about is marketing and strategy. But like when it comes to music and creation and building that type of lane, you're going to be able to give them that advice. So it's important for people to not be scared to ask for advice, but also not take the advice from just the low level advice, you know?
Yeah, like people that are in it, that are in it with you, experiencing it. Like we can only really get answers from the experience. Like like, because we're in it together. It's interesting that like we really seek that nucleus of friendship to kind of really think like this is it, right? And like that was my issue, was like I thought that nucleus of friendship was like everything I had.
Yeah.
And so like it got me in some really interesting places.
Yeah.
Terrible places. But like, cause I'm such a chameleon, cause I can go anywhere and I'm fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, being it, and like, and to really run it back, where I found myself, cause was being on time out, doing time. Like, it really, like, I had to really I had to go through things to experience it for myself to really understand if that's what I need. Like, that's me, right? There's a lot of and that's what I mean. Like, I didn't have those coaches, right? I didn't have those, like, I didn't have the father, the key figure. Like, you know what I mean? That was really kind of being like, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. It's like, oh, you're doing this, here's how you do it properly, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, you should not do this. This is, and like, and it's interesting too, because even within my family, right? It's just like, I never had anybody in my family when I was out there doing my thing tell me like, yo, you shouldn't do this. Like, don't do this. It was always like, here's how you do it properly.
Yeah.
So it's like, people don't need that. They need that example of someone who's not doing that and has been through the experience and can tell you the right ways to do it. Like or not the right ways to do it, like not to do it because of this, right? This is what you have more potential in doing this than doing what you're doing. Like
100%.
there was like, and like I had to really sit and learn through doing that time. Like when I was 18, I ended up doing like 18 months in Burnside, which is probably the worst time of my life. And I didn't change at all when I was in there. I was running around with everybody else. Like, I was, you know, getting in the most trouble. But when I came home from that experience and went to school to Flex, I think it was like the adult learning education. I got my adult diploma at Flex. And like just being around adults, like that was different. Like being outside of the community and like getting my education around like brand new people that I've never met before in my life, it allowed me to kind of be like, okay, like I'm starting new. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have to put on this persona around you. Like, I can really kind of be myself and you accept me for me, right? So now I'm starting to get back into myself now. I'm like, okay, we're two-stepping in class. You know what I mean? Like, I started getting into drama, you know what I mean? Like stuff that I never thought that I'd be interested in being involved in, but it was encouraged by the new people that I was hanging with. Like, yeah, you can do that. You're good at this. Like, do this. So I was like, okay, yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm good at English.
They're giving you that permission, but it's also breaking free from the confines of what other people expected who you were.
Yeah,
and becoming someone else by being around other people that didn't know who you were. So then it's like, hey, I can be my true, authentic self. Versus like when you go back around the homies, they might be like, oh, like why, like laughing or trying to downplay it or trying to, you know what I mean, put you down.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of the times it's the insecurities that we might have.
Yes.
That keeps us all in the same boat. When it's like when someone else trying to jump into another boat, it's like, you man, you're not real, or oh, you man, you don't come around no more, or you know. And for you, it's like I'm liking the evolution of how you were able to go and find that and then come back to that to the true self.
Yeah, and I think too is like. Like with the homies, like I feel like I was giving them enough where they were like, okay, he's a bit different. Like he's not, okay, yeah. Like just because like I was super like even just with music, okay, right? Like I am a very, very, like I love indie rock music. Like I don't know if you guys remember Radio Free Roscoe, the show?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Radio Free Roscoe.
Too young. Too young.
Because how old are you?
21.
Read to D.
A child.
Hop my father.
Hop my good.
Shout out to King Ettinger. So yeah, Radio Free Roscoe. That was a show for me that really opened up outside of BET, like rap music, R&B. I was listening to a lot of indie rock music. So when I was with a lot of the homies, you know, they're putting on like A-Rab. They're putting on like D Block. Shout out to the Locks, but
trust
like
me, the square is D Block.
Gangsta, like D Block all the way.
Pain,
New York
pressure,
New York hip hop. Square Town is it.
You would think that like the square is a project in New York.
No, for real.
The way they were listening to D Block.
Absolutely. Even the way they dress. Even with the Timbs and like the bombers and the sweaters.
New York style.
The culture.
New York styles.
The culture.
Yeah, and like like they would put on the iPod and put on certain songs. I'm like, no, we're changing this.
You know
Look.
what's so crazy is like the music, literally, like when I learned, like I think I was probably like 23, 24, but I learned about like vibrations, I learned about music, and I learned about like the negativity that's in the music.
Woo,
that
the frequencies?
Yes, bro. So like you think we were talking earlier about the social media, the movies and the stuff that we're watching. The music is way more powerful because you got these affirmations. We all had iPods, we all had MP3s. The affirmations in the music, oh my God, like I'm about to kill an N-word, I'm about to do this, I'm about to do that, I'm about to... That every day you're listening to that, even like we were going to sleep listening to the music.
On go.
So it's like you're like, if you have a child and you instill in them, you can be somebody, you're special, you're successful, and you tell them this every day, they're gonna feel that power. But when you're listening to F this B, do this, do that, I'm gonna kill you if you disrespect me, da 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 da. That's day-to-day negativity that's gonna be instilled in your brain. And a lot of young people don't realize, like I didn't even realize it till I was in my early 20s because you're thinking like, oh, it's just music. Oh, I like the hard beat. And it's like, but if you really listen to the words in the music, like anybody that's here, you listen to the words of the music. I'm not trying to hate on on Future because the beat's whack, but the content in the music is destroying the community, is destroying your mental, and it's making you think that stuff is real. These people are rich, they got money, they're not disrespecting all the people in their life. They're not, you know what I mean? Like they love their mom just like you love your mom. And they're making money off of the negativity, but you have to focus on, and for us to get back is like, that other music, like the Bob Marley, the stuff that when we were younger, oh, that ain't cool. Like when I used to play Bob Marley, like when I started learning about the positive vibes, people get in my car like, you man, what you listening to? It's like, I'm listening to what I want to listen to. You ain't gonna scold me to turn my music off. You know what I mean? It's like
that's your space.
You don't even know that I'm doing something good for you.
Yeah, facts.
I'm putting you on to something new. Now you can go listen to it and change your life. You know, but not saying like the music's gonna change your life, but it's about the vibration and the frequency and what you digest. Getting back to what we digest musically. That's why I can listen to your music and not feel no kind of way because there's no negativity in there. And the only negativity that would be in there is from intentional from your experience and from you putting it in there. But that's okay, but not every experience is poverty and chaos and murder and kill. It's like, that's what I learned and I realized, don't want to listen to that. But I still reminisce from time to time.
Oh, absolutely.
And listen to my DMXs, listen to my, you know what I mean, my BGs. And
but think about their growth too, like the DMX's growth, like Styles P in particular. You would see their growth, like the Locks. You see, like where, like when I started listening to them, it was all gangsta, like shoot you, stab you, boom, and like it's in my ears every single day. So when I go outside and I see another brother, I immediately want to, I get aggressed, like you know what I mean. Like it's very interesting stuff. So when I see where they're at now, like positivity, health and wealth, like exercise.
They got smoothie bars, they working out every day.
They're exercising, like they're really kind of preaching that like this is what it needs to be in their community. And like he's not like he don't know this, but Styles P has been my mentor. Like he's been my mentor since I started, since I found him. And like a bad mentor at times. And now 100%. That he's getting, you know, it's still like I still look to him as like this is a great example of what we should be doing in the community for our youth. And
even his story is similar to like Malcolm X. You go from Malcolm Little, hustler, pimp, whatever, and then you evolve into the minister. But like same with Styles P, you're a gangster rapper. You're making money off of this, so you have to do it in order to make money. But then you what's the word? You become enlightened, and you realize what you're doing, and then you know, I mean, you still got to make certain music in order to appease your audience, but there's bigger things at play that are creating these in our community. It's not us that own these record labels and us that own these things that are spinning it and putting it out there. If it was us and we knew better, we would be putting no positivity in our community. We could grow our community, we could build our community, and we could make it so that this identity of this black culture, because if you look at statistics, it's black people killing black people.
Absolutely.
And black people killing people because of what we're portrayed as, the opportunities that we're put into, or the opportunities that were that we're not given, but then also historically. Like people don't understand like the historic impact that slavery and us being put in these communities has done to us. And then the media and the music and what it does. So like people are like, oh, why don't they just stop doing that? And why don't they, you know what I mean? It's not that simple. Like, there's no simple solution. But the simple solution for us is to be better, do better, break out and be our authentic self and spread positivity everywhere we go. You know, shout out to love. You know,
And
leave,
I feel
leave
like
out violence.
And I feel like also with that mentorship piece, it's like seeing someone go from, let's say, not their full self into a whole completely new self as well. That's like a different piece of mentorship. And it kind of, I feel like that in itself can even be sometimes more powerful for someone that's looking to change. Because for instance, you might have a mentor that's already where they need to be at. And you're like, okay, like they're up there. I want to get up there. But then when you see someone that went from here to there, you're like, yo, that's possible. Like for the example of the people that you were referencing and how they might not even know that they were a mentor for you, for them changing their life.
Yeah.
So-
I think, and I'm bringing it back to Styles P. There's one thing that he mentions in what he says, cuz a little bit of fame, you can change the game.
Yep.
And it's either good, it can be a negative or a positive. Like if you got a big name in the streets, cuz you can change the streets in a way where it's like, yeah, okay, we're dictating how we run these streets. This is how we're selling our block. This is how we're running it. But even when on the positive side, with a little bit of fame, cuz you can really, really get to the right people. Like you can get you can instill, you can be everything that person needs in that moment. Like
So
just by the way you move. Like
Yep.
people just need to see that example. They need to know like, you know, that you were here and like now you're here, right? How did you get through that? And like how did you get to this, right? It's just like it's just setting that example.
And I think it's important because like you're from the square, I'm from up home, but it's important for young people to see that and have access to that because I know a lot of people that get success, they go at a community, you don't never see them again. So it's hard for them. It's hard for people to get that experience. So for you, you're around, I'm around. So the young guys, specifically when I think about the young guys, it's like they have access to us so we can give them the information, we can give them our experience. The people in our peers, our age, they can be like, oh yeah, real guy, I know you from growing up. And we even inspire the people that we've been through it with. The people that may have fell off or the people that may have be in prison or gone. Like, think about the people that are in our peers that are maybe in heaven. They looking at us and we making them proud.
Yeah.
They're like, I believe that when you pass away, you become all-knowing and you oversee. So for me, I know that they're looking down on us and they're proud of us. And for me, the way that I want to operate is so that I can continuously make them proud. I can continuously look to them for guidance because they know everything. And for me, I might not be getting no real signals or signs from them, but I'm operating like I'm getting advice from them, and I'm being better. I'm being the best version I can be. So, like for my godson, his father passed away before he was born. I communicate with his father, and I try to be the best me I can be for his son.
True.
And what that allows is he's not here to be able to be there, but I am, and I have to be the best version of me for him. Even if I want to get back at people, or even if I want to do bad stuff, that keeps me grounded and keeps me like I have to do for him because kids don't do what you say, they do what you do. So if I practice the good habits and I show him how I'm going to be, he's going to, not saying he's going to be perfect or he's going to follow what I'm doing, but
He's got a good
kids
example
don't
of it,
do
though.
what they, kids don't do what you tell them to do, they do what they see. And I feel like that goes back to what we were talking about, having that mentor in community so they could see how you interact with your woman, how you interact in community. So they can learn from that, like, you know?
Absolutely. And that's, I operate on that. I try to operate on as much merit as possible because I know that folks are looking at it and they can learn from it and they have an example to see like, okay, yeah, he's doing that. Yes, she's doing that. They're doing that. You know what I mean?
'Cause
Like,
even when you were saying about being with the weirdest white guy, it's like you're giving the other young guys in the community, the black community, permission to be like, you can hang with white people. You can be with the
Absolutely.
weird white people versus like people used to be like, oh, like I can't hang. Like when you're black in the black community, you think like you got to hang with the people that you hang with. And if they clown you, like, oh, shoot, you know?
people just ain't comfortable with themselves.
Got to be
enough.
confident. You got
Yeah,
to be
true.
confident.
It's about within and how you feel about.
Yeah, like
yourself.
I know myself enough where I
Facts.
can hang with people, and because I grew up in a very interracial family, like I can't look at I don't look at white people as a threat.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
I look at them as family.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So it's just like how do we learn from each other, and like how can we learn of each other's experience and really kind of have each other's backs
100%.
outside of this.
I think that's a privileged place to come from because I'm from the similar instance where like I'm half black, half white. So I grew up in white community, black community. And it's important to be able to learn and integrate and not be so confined to your own people. You have
Yeah.
to be open to be able to grow and be able to teach and learn from other cultures, learn from other communities. Because I got Indian friends, black friends, Chinese friends, all different types of friends. And it's important for us to grow as a community through connecting with other people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a big thing, especially what I'm learning with the television series Generations. Just being able to speak to elders about their experience. And I asked this question to somebody. I'm like, would you rather learn from a video game, or would you rather learn from life experience, like someone's life experience? And we got into a debate because this person, this person is like, the video games is their life, right? So I'm like, what do you think a video game can teach you that an 80-year-old woman that has been through this life, what do you think that you're getting from the video game that she can't give you, right? Well, they can get. I said, no, I'm not like, I'm talking about life experience. How can a video game give you life experience?
It's not reality either.
It's not reality. Come on, guys, right? So it's just like I've learned, like in through Generations too, I'm really getting to learn like local history, like local stuff. And like I'm currently, through one of the episodes, I learned of this preschool. It was called the Brunswick Cornwallis Preschool. And the Brunswick and it's a great example of like living in harmony with one another. It's a great example because in the 60s, when you look at Halifax in the 60s and how it was, because it was absolutely the most racist and segregated place on the planet. One of them, when it comes to Nova Scotia racism, Canada-wide, like we had it the worst. Like we were really late to the game in terms
to this
of
day.
To this day. To this day, it's a bit more hush hush, but like, and actually, it's not hush hush. It's more like it's not as in your face as it used to be.
More overt is the word, I think.
Yeah. 60s, cuz don't come around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was very interesting because like this group of these two churches came together, Brunswick Street and Cornwallis came together to really try to help fight the racism in the city, and they came together and started a preschool. And they made their board 50-50 everything. So like 50% black, 50% white, staff, board, and students.
Oh wow!
And listening to the ladies who used to work there talk about like the work that they've done, and like in being the coach and the mentor that these children needed to really kind of be able to move and go about the world with an understanding of each other. And not just like guarded by their skin tone and their skin, like really kind of like moving with each other, learning of each other, and having each other's backs. Because the main thing too is like behind closed doors and like in different. It's what the bigger thing is allyship. You know what I mean? Like allyship, like any ally that's not within, like outside of that. How are you really kind of like fighting it within your own people? You know, like how are you bringing that awareness of humanity and that awareness of someone else's culture in your comfort? You know what I mean? Like how are you having conversations with your parents about this stuff? How are you having conversations about your friends who might have a certain, you know what I mean? Like, and like really kind of fighting for that. I think a great example of that was the preschool. Like when I learned about that, I was like, wow. And it's just very interesting because I'd never heard about that preschool until we were invited to come film there. Right. So, and it just made me really try to make sense of why is it that we're not learning local history in our school, man?
Yeah.
Like, why are we not learning of all this stuff that, like change makers have done? And I'm not just talking about looking at a poster with all the black change makers every month. Like I'm not talking about that. Like speak about it, like curriculum based stuff. Like how come we don't? Why is it the first time I'm hearing about the preschools when I get invited to this event? It's just like this is craziness, and it's like, and I think that goes it goes hand in hand too with like with a lot of the youth not having like a lot of confidence in themselves. And like me in particular, I shouldn't say a lot of youth, but me in particular, I didn't have a sense of identity. I didn't have a sense of like who I was. Like I was really kind of like moving in this nucleus of things that I wasn't really sure. Like, yes, I have to be this way. But I feel like if I would have had a better understanding of our local history and our genealogy and like where our people, like who my family is on every single branch.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would have had my life would have been a lot more different. I wouldn't have had I wouldn't have been so easily peer pressured.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I would have had like, no, listen, I know where I'm at. I know who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna go over there. I know what that does.
When
You
was
know what I
it-
mean?
Yeah.
When was that moment that you found yourself, you found your identity, you were like, yeah, this is who I am? And if you could describe that.
I think like and it goes back to when I was in Spring Hill.
Mm.
So I was in Spring Hill from like age 21 to 23. 21, I got sentenced to 5 years. I did like 19 months of that.
Mhm.
And when I was there, like what happens when you're there is like they put you in this room for like, they put you in a cell for like 3 months, right? It's called reception. And it's very interesting because during that time in reception, I got to spend it with my cousin, Derek Ellison, right? Which is our fathers are brothers.
Mm.
So that makes us first cousins. And in high school, cuz we hated each other. You couldn't, like, I'm on Square Town, he's on Pubs.
Pub Town,
Pub
baby.
Town, Square Town, cuz we hated each other. Like, and I don't understand.
That's crazy. You guys first cousins?
First
and
cousins.
you had that
Yeah.
mindset?
Cuz couldn't
Wow.
leave me alone. Don't want
Yeah,
nothing to do
yeah,
with you,
wow.
right? I think we were both on go with each other. Like didn't matter
Wow.
because of where we were from,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And we got to spend time with each other, like, and we really got to know each other. We really got to like ask each other questions about like how high school was and how that experience was, and like what it all meant, and like we really kind of we had to sit with each other. Like we didn't meet each other with resistance. We're like, cuz we're here, what's up? You know what I mean? And it was in that time too, where it's like I had 2 family members pass away while I was in that time. I couldn't help. I couldn't call home and be like, couldn't be there. So it opened up my eyes. I think my nephew was born around this time too. Landon was born around this time. I couldn't be there. I was there for Avery. So it just really kind of it was a weird time. It was a lot of reflection.
Do you find it was like peeling back a layer of like, okay, these people are supposed to be my enemy, but actually like we're the same?
I think it was me understanding that I was not like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was not like, because anybody would have just met it with resistance. Like, oh yeah, let's go, right? But like it is, yes, like because
And then
we're family. Like
yeah.
why? Like
Yeah, why is that going on?
what's going on here?
Mhm.
Let's get to the bottom of this, right? And even throughout that whole time, like there's a lot of politics behind if you're from this neighborhood, that neighborhood, you come from this range, or like something happened, you got to
Yeah.
get people, because like I am privileged to be my size.
Yeah, individual and your size. Yeah.
I am privileged to be.
Oh yeah.
No, because some people can look at me like, oh yeah, he's intimidating.
Oh, bro,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
in
yeah.
the pen, like what
Yeah,
your
facts.
size, like it's different on the streets, like guns and stuff like that.
Exactly.
But like, hey, bro,
You ain't got no
we in here,
weapon in
like, what's up? Like,
And I feel like I've done enough credible things on the street, whereas like people are like, okay, yeah, Lance he's good. You know,
Yeah.
we mess with him,
100%,
right?
100%.
Leave him alone,
Yeah.
right? And so it was within that time frame, and like, and I knew I was in a different mindset too, because like I was still being myself, because I'm super like I'm loud. Like when you give me
Oh
like
yeah,
a
we
room,
seen you when you came in here.
you give me a room of reverb, cause I'm singing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
Love it.
good. So like they were threatening me, like the jail, like the staff members, they were threatening me, like if you don't stop doing this, like you're being disruptive, we're gonna send you to this jail. I'm just like, cause you can literally send me anywhere as you want. But like the way that the politics of those jails work is like this jail is this type of this is this side, and this jail is this side. If you're on this side, you can't go to this jail, because if you go to that jail, then they're gonna get a lot of politics
yeah.
involved. But I was like, cause you can literally send me anywhere as you want. I'm gonna be fine. And they kind of looked at me like, what? I was like, cause I'm not what you think I am.
Yeah.
Like I'm not this. You're painting this picture just because I lived in this range with certain people.
Yeah.
You're painting this picture of me. I am not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not one dimensional.
Yes. So you can put me anywhere you want. I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like what's gonna happen when I get there? Who knows? But I'm cool.
Yeah.
Like send me anywhere. Don't threaten me like
Powerful.
that, right?
Yep.
So then I got out in population, and the first thing I did, and I told everybody, one of my homies, anybody who I mess with, cuz I'm like, listen, if it ain't life or death, do not call me on anything, because I understand how like a lot of that hearsay stuff works, and like, you know, you guys known each other for a while, and you gotta like be on go all the time.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
because I'm standing on my own toes in here.
Yeah.
I
It's like
love
Big
you.
Brother type of stuff.
Yeah.
That show. Yeah.
I love you, but if and I know you can fight, and I know you can handle yourself, but if you like, don't call me if people ain't trying to kill you.
Yeah.
So they're like, boom, and that took a lot of courage for me to do that.
Wow.
Because you standing on your own, being you, it keeps you out of all the politics. It keeps you out of all the
Absolutely.
issues that other people have, and it lets people know, okay, I'm standing on my own. It leaves room for people to manipulate and maybe put you in a bad spot, but you coming out and doing that is it obviously going to take courage, but it also saves it from like anyone in their mind thinking like, oh, he's against me, or he's on that side, or he's with them.
Yeah, yep. And I try to take as much advice as I could from folks that's kind of been in that life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you get in there, cuz don't be buying stuff from people. Don't be taking favors from people. Do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your head up. People try to mess with you. Obviously, if it's, you know, you do your thing, you do your thing. I didn't get in one fight when I was in Spring Hill. Burnside, woo! Wow. Like,
Yeah.
I was fighting left and right. Like,
Yeah.
it was like cell warrior. Let's go. Come on. We're fighting.
Yeah.
And that's not me, cuz. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely had to do my thing, but like, that's what I mean. Like, I've done enough credible things and like made the right decisions where people were like, okay, yeah, Lance, you're good.
Yeah.
So when I decided to tell people, listen, I'm out, don't involve me in stuff, don't call me on things, they were like,
Yeah.
we kind of knew.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. That's good.
So it was a very easy transition. It was hard for me internally to do,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a very easy transition. I'm very thankful that my homies still mess with me today.
Mm.
Like, they still are like, yeah, you
Yeah.
did the right thing, right? So like, while I was in there, like, I started really kind of being like, okay, I'm going to work, only making at the most $37 every 2 weeks. Like, it's very interesting, the money system that goes on in there. Like,
Yeah. That's
like,
wow.
what is it for Melco here right now? Like $8.99, $7.99 for a 4 liter or something, right? And there, the milk is like $1. Like, that 4 liter milk is $1. Like, you go and actually, this is I could be lying because it's been a while since I've been there, but you buy like 3. How do you pronounce it? Is it filet or fillet of salmon? I don't know.
Filet.
I don't know. Filet?
Doesn't McDonald's
I
got
don't
that
know.
PA chicken something?
You go, here you buying three fillets of salmon, cuz easy $20, $30, right?
Yeah, every cent.
There was about $4.50,
Wow.
$7.50. So it's like, for the money that you make, you're able to get what you need, right? And I got on to a range where like I was able to buy my own food, cook my own food, and kind of be in my own. Like, I wasn't owed on these ranges where it's like super like there's 100 people on each tier. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, oh, I'm in a house with 8 people, and you know, we're helping each other out. We got our little spots in the cupboards. We got our spots in the fridge, and you know, we got our separate times in the very respectful,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I just truly was like, listen, I'm doing my own time. Don't mess with me. So I started like, you know, I started working out a lot. I got on the workout regimen heavy. I did like Insanity, T25, P90X heavy, playing ball every day. Christ, I was the slimmest and leanest I've ever been in my life. I don't think I'll ever get back down there. I'm 270 now. I was like 218,
Great,
220.
great.
I was
See that black make you look slim.
I was in shape. Yes, that's why I wear it.
Yeah.
That's why I wear it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like I was in there exercising heavy, and I just didn't mess with people's bullshit. Like, if you weren't on my time, stay away from me.
Yeah.
And I was hanging with a lot of lifers in there too, like a lot of dudes that like been in there for a while, and they could really, you know, tell like, Lance, like you're something different, Mochi. Like, there's some leadership qualities there. Like, you shouldn't be here when you get home, cuz do your thing. Like, don't worry about this stuff. And I took that advice. Like, they were like, cuz when you get home, like, you got to do something to really kind of stay out of this. And I realized when I was out in the boat, cuz we were so bored. Like, the only thing that, listen, I wasn't playing ball. I'm not super competitive on the ball thing. Like, you know how it is on the court, people talking shit, cuz I get triggered easy. Like, you want to fight?
Yeah.
You block me 10 times? Let's go to the locker room. I didn't understand that type of like.
Handle it on the court.
I
It's
could,
like, nah, take it.
listen. I can't. I still to this day I can't handle shit talk on the court.
Yeah.
Like, when I hear shit talk on the court, like, I'm coming for you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I find it kind of bully. Like, you're trying to be a bully. You're trying to be dominant. No,
Yeah.
I'm shutting you down.
Handle
Right?
it.
So you say when you got out, it was like a boring stance, like
No. Like, before, like, even as a teenager, there wasn't much for us to do. Right? It was like, it was basketball, selling dope, There wasn't no extra. There wasn't no theater. Like there wasn't nothing. Like there was the library, right?
Yeah.
But the library is just as dangerous as what was the bus. The Dartmouth bus station.
Yeah, the bridge terminal.
The bridge terminal. Are you familiar with the bridge
Yeah, I
terminal?
know the bridge terminal.
Because the bridge terminal, oh
Bad.
my gosh, like it was a war zone.
No, that's bad.
Man, like, and I think, and it really kind of stems back to like the content that we put, like, because as teenagers, we're not eating the healthiest. We're eating a lot of junk food. We're eating that quick food, like we're eating that craft dinner. Like we're not really
The fucking Mr. Noodles. Sorry for my language.
we're not taking care of our bodies,
Yeah.
and on top of that, we're listening to the most outrageous gangster shit ever.
Yeah.
So when we see people that look like us and we're on go all the time,
Yes.
just because you had a different color on,
Yeah.
buddy, people were getting hurt over there for nothing,
Yeah.
Yep.
for no reason, right?
Yep.
Just because like our brains and our thinking were so clouded, and like we didn't understand the value of each other, of one another, being in community. We didn't even understand that half of us are cousins out here.
Yeah. That's
Like,
crazy.
Doing it to
Like
each other.
the first cousin thing.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Cause
Yeah. Madness.
madness,
Yeah.
and it's like it happens a lot. That
It happens it's because it's black against black. So when you think about it, it's us against us. Even if you think like, oh, these guys are in the other clique, it's still you against you. They're still the same. You got the same blood. You guys literally have certain percent of the same blood in your system, and you're trying to kill each other
Yeah, it's
over
sad.
petty, over historic. It could be historical grievances that are big, but like you still got to find out where the peace is. Where can we find the love? Where can we find the common ground so that the people that are 30, our age now, they're still beefing. And it's like, bro, do you not realize that
Yeah.
you're teaching the people that are 15, 16, 17 the same culture that you grew up in, and you know better? Because I've talked to the people and they say like they don't want to be doing this, but like what else are they gonna do?
because there's no leadership.
Yeah.
Like there's no leadership, and I really put my hats off to them guys that are in the streets and like they're about it and they change their life around. Like they
100%.
really because
Yeah.
the
But you're a
people-
testament to that.
Yeah.
and that's why I love seeing that. Like I love seeing like folks that are really trying to like take get control of their lives, right? Because that's an example that the people that you were hanging around with, the people that you were delegating, like you were leading, they see that and they're like, okay, yes. But again, too, it's like a lot of the stuff that's happening in the streets, man. Like there's no moral code no more.
No.
Like there's nothing that really kind of instills the rules. I would be fine and okay and dandy for folks out there doing their thing if there was a moral code involved. Like there wasn't just people shooting each other for no reason
no
and just
reason,
blah
yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah.
Because if it really had to happen because this guy did something or this girl did something, because get your rules in place though,
Yeah.
right? Get that structure happening because
Facts.
like the cowboy stuff, and you don't even understand why this problem exists.
Yeah.
It's because there's no leadership there. There's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
like there is leadership in a way, but there's no someone really taking that action of like, okay, how can we actually do this without hurting each other?
100%.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll also go into when you think about the 13-year-old us and our friends, is like they started to identify as these young gangsters at that age, and they grow up continuously identifying with that. So for you, it's unique and it's interesting that you always identified from like even going back as being different,
Yeah.
as being, and other people instill that difference in you. And I feel like people did the same for me. And I think everybody might get that from the older people, but they don't grab onto it. They don't hold on to like, oh, I'm different and I can be better and I can do better. So it's important for us versus identifying with like, I'm a gangster, I'm a killer, I'm this. And it's even hard. I know some guys that they quit the pimp game and they still identify as pimp, or they feel like they're not who they truly are because you practice being this pimp or you practice being this gangster for so long that it's hard for you to break away from that. And it's important to recognize that you are whoever you want to create. And you're a testament to that. I'm a testament and you're a testament. But it's important to be able to identify, okay, I don't have to be like the sheep. I don't have to be like everybody else. Like when you think about all the young people when we were coming up, we were all literally doing the same stuff, being the same person. And it's like we're this carbon copy of what we're taught to be. And then when you break out of that, you give other people permission to be that. So maybe like let's touch on like the creation of music and how you got onto that level, because I think that that's one thing that the people, we went through the experience, but it's important to instill how did you change and grow. And even get into the music and you know what I mean, project your true self.
Become
Yeah.
Aquakultre.
Yeah, shout out to Aquaculture because I
She
was
wants to know how you got the name.
Yeah, the name.
okay.
100%. Yeah.
We'll get into this. We'll get into the Shure 57 SMB.
I think that's the mic name.
Why did he be killing me, man?
Product placement. I'm trying to get a sponsor. So I used to go by Lex.
Okay.
Lex. That was my street name. My homies still call me Lex to this day. And like when I was in Spring Hill, I was like, "Cuz you guys better not call me Lex. Don't
Lex
do it."
Luthor.
Yes. No, Lexington Steel.
Okay.
Lexington Steel. Don't sue me. But and the reason why I told people to stop calling me Lex because like they were really, really trying to instill gang culture in the jails. Like if you were associated with gangs and like your nickname and they weren't letting you out. So I was like, "Don't call me that. My name is Lance." Right? And people were like, "Cuz what are you talking about?"
Oh, they definitely look at you like
Don't call me that. My
Yeah.
name is Lance, right? I would like only like if it was like Gino Raheem, like my homies, like Lex, what's up? I was like, what's up?
Yeah.
But anybody else, don't call me that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I came home, before I went in, that was my rap name, Lex. Like, and I was talking the craziest shit ever.
D Block.
I was
Square town.
yes, but I was doing it in a really like I was doing it in a storytelling element. Like I have
Chic Luch vibes.
Chic Luch vibes. Like there was one song that I recorded when I want to say I was 16. It was called Conversations with a Serial Killer. And it was a song about me spending time with in Burnside, someone who's killed multiple people, and hated black people or like would kill. It was interesting. Okay. It was a crazy story.
Yeah, I
Crazy
hear this.
story. So it was, mind you, it's not an accurate story. It's I did spend time with a lot of killers in there, but like this is like just me, my brain working. It was a song about a man who would target black people because of how his adopted mother treated him when he was younger. And I'm 15, 16 years old writing this shit. So I'm like, so my storytelling element was there. Like my brain and the way I was processing things, it was going through the music. But I was still talking like real gangsta, like selling dope, like not really pushing like a really good. I was really, really kind of falling back into the trap.
Something that your peers can relate to. That's what you got to.
Exactly.
Your audience is your peers, so that's probably what you're creating for. In a sense.
Yes. And I was just trying to make tracks so we can kind of put on in the kitchen and like, be like
Bump it.
do that Chief Keef
That's hard
stuff.
as fuck, bro.
You know what I mean? Like everybody's in the back row. Yeah, I was trying to do that stuff. But then when I came home, my first experience in Burnside, I came home and like I was hanging with a friend of mine out Eastern Passage named Loke Stana. So Loke Stana had a studio, and shout out to Nix. Nix brought me this guy. A lot of my first tracks
Matt?
Yeah.
Shout out Matt.
A lot of my first tracks were with Nix. Like the first song I recorded was called it was off of Gimme the Loot. It was on a Gimme the Loot beat. And Nix was on it. TA was on it. Shout out to Torres and myself.
Okay.
And the verse is craziness. I'm 15 years old, right? And I'm gonna spit it for you right quick. I'm gonna spit you some.
We want to hear the soulful after too.
I'm gonna spit you some. So it goes, I got a steel blade, but the handle is plastic. If he ain't did his surgery, gonna be plastic. Headline news was Jurassic. They found 5 bodies in the ditch. They body parts weren't attaching. This is what I'm talking about. I'm 15 years old.
Man.
Talking this shit. Because when I spent time with them in Waterville, they like rap for us. Because them guys would like rap. They would hit the track and they'd rap, right? They like rap for us. And I spit that and they looked at me and said, "Cuz what the fuck is wrong with you?"
You're a murderer.
They said, "Cuz what are you talking about?" I'm like, what do you mean? Isn't that what you want to hear? They're like, no. What? He was like, why? And this was me like assuming that these guys are that about that shit, right?
Wow, yeah.
So it really put me back to the drawing board. Like, okay, wow, okay.
That got me snorting on
It's like I was going super gangster.
I was going super gangster. Okay, that's not what I need to do,
You
right?
had the flow though. Had the flow.
I had to flow, and then and so I'm like, so I when I started rediscovering music again, like recording at Loke Standards, I noticed like I was still going by Lex, and I noticed I was kind of still talking stuff that I wasn't even about. But like I was doing it in a way where I was kind of developing my flow. I was doing it in a way where I was just really developing my sound, like developing my voice, because I wasn't used to hearing my voice like that. So I was just doing stuff, and then I actually started writing songs, right? Like, okay, I'm not rapping. I realized like I got a melodic aspect to it, and I started writing songs. And one of the first songs that I wrote and recorded at Lokstana's was a song called "Soar." So soar, and I have a lot of S songs for some reason. Like I got soar,
Favorite letter.
I got sure, I got same damn time, I got shape, I got. Did I already say safe?
No.
I got a lot of S word songs
Wow.
for some reason.
Strategic.
I don't know, like a lot of one syllable, like
Yeah.
and. So I started writing these songs and realizing that like it was allowing me to kind of be a bit more authentic, right? Because when I was going by Lex and kind of rapping under that, I was like still falling in this trap, and I was like, I'm not even about this life. Like, why am I talking like this? So when I started writing these songs, I changed my name to Aquakultre.
Oh.
And Aquakultre really is like it's two things, right? Two things. The very easy short bio is that I was going to school for plumbing at the time, and the aqua was that, like aqua. Okay, I'm working with pipes, working with waters. I'm moving water, and culture just being my love for music in general. Like, there's not a song, there's not a genre that I don't mess with. Right? I don't like the pop country, but like there's not any music that I can't detract what I need from it. Right? And so Aquakultre, but the long bio version is more like, I know I'm very versatile. Like, I know I'm able to kind of like envelop anything, right? I can take any shape, right? I'm not bound to any genre. I can do anything. I can write any type of music. I play instruments, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really keen on the frequency, right? I'm very keen on like the content itself. Like, what is it? I'm very conscious of what I say, how I say it, the language I use in music. Like, I don't use the B word. I 95% of the time I will not use the N word. Like, I'm very, very like socially conscious of that, because I know that when people hear this, it's like, what are they learning of me through this, right? What are they taking from this, and what are they going to how are they processing things, and because I know how much that music can affect our day to day, right? So if I know people are listening to me saying, like, calling people B words and N words all the time, that's what they're gonna know. Yeah. But if they listen to something like me calling someone lady, like my love,
Respect.
or like,
it's 100% what you want to see in the world. You're being what you want to see. You know,
exactly.
with the Gandhi quote.
I don't know about this quote.
So it's be the change you want to see in the world.
Boom. Exactly.
And you're being the sound so that you can change the world. And versus you being like, if you keep portraying the same old stuff, it's gonna be the same. You know what I mean? I feel like you're giving these folks a gift. You're giving us a gift when you're giving us this.
So true.
I'm trying. I'm doing what I can. That's my hashtag.
Well, just being conscious of that, like, some people don't give a care. You know what I mean? It's you caring about it, and it shines through your music, through the positivity, through the vibe, and that's also goes to the authenticity.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Knowing that you truly care, it's different than if someone is unaware and they're rapping this gangster stuff. They could be unaware and they don't care. So it's like, why do I even want to listen to someone that, for one, they don't care and they're unaware?
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, too, because I am in a relationship. I want to be a good partner, right? If I'm talking about some craziness, like, I need to put out the stuff that I want, that I need for myself.
Boomerang.
Yeah.
It's coming back.
Yes, it'll only come back to you. That's why I got a song called "Pay It Forward." It'll only come back to you, right? Like, and it's that thing, the energy that you put out in the world, it's the energy that you receive back. That's
I 100% believe that. I find that's why you gotta trust others, respect others, and when you do that, when you trust others, when you respect others, people can trust you, people can respect you, and what you give is what you're gonna get. And some people don't realize that. It's just like when you read books, people don't see the value in the book when you read it, or months after you read it. It's the same with relationships. It's the same with frequency. It's the same with energy. I give out all the love in the world, and then I could be down one day, and man, like, I give out so much love. Why don't I get none back? you can't focus on that. You got to just focus on continuously giving out the love because it's coming back. You just don't see it.
Yeah. Not in that moment. It's going to come back. It's going to just give it time.
Yeah.
And
it's hard when you come from like a negative situation to see how good positivity is for you. Like when you think about the hood mentality or the mentality of lack or the opposite of abundance, when you think abundant, you give freely, you give love, you give respect, you give like positive energy, and then you're gonna get it back. But people don't see it because you know what I mean? They're getting a rise off of the negativity on TV, and it makes them feel so some people, they rather feel something than to feel nothing. And sometimes you got to be comfortable with feeling nothing and put the love out there, and it'll come back and you know what I mean, uplift your spirit. For me, it gives me the energy to give more energy. Like when I show you love, you show me love back, the next person's gonna get love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're boomeranging that off of each other. But if we do that in community, it's a love. It's so much love that goes around that it continuously creates that. But also we give people permission to be positive, to smile, to be happy, to you know what I mean? It's people often think like, oh, like I don't get to decide if I'm gonna be happy today, but like oftentimes it's our physiology and our mindset that creates how our day's gonna be.
Oh, it's what you tell yourself.
Yeah.
All day.
Yep.
There's an interesting experiment I saw with plants, and it was a professor that was like, I don't know if he was a professor or not, but he was giving plants like positive, like
I heard that one.
I love you and like you're beautiful, and that plant grew so well, like and quickly. And then he gave the other plant like fuck you, like you suck, your plants are gross, and it didn't grow. It deteriorated. So it's like if you're telling yourself that you don't like yourself, you're telling yourself that you're gonna have a bad day. If you're not reassuring that you're going to have a great day, that you love yourself, because you're not going to feel that you love yourself.
Because you're speaking it into existence. Rodney, you know Rodney, he's a big fan of like the idea of like we speak things into existence. So like you tell the plant that you love them, you tell the people that you love them, you instill, like if you have a kid like I was talking about earlier and you tell them every day that they're going to be something, then more likely they're going to be something. If you tell them they ain't shit, you ain't going to be shit. Some people are going to be inspired by the challenge of like the bro challenge of like, I bet you can't do it, but not when I tell you every day, like, bro, you ain't gonna be nothing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That comes to a point where it's just
you know
low.
what I mean? It's like, bro, do you love me or like, do you hate me? Like, no. And then that's also creates an unhealthy of like, I have to prove my brother wrong versus like, you know what I mean? When your brother tells you like they're proud of you, that is way more inspiring than, oh, bro, I bet you can't do it. Like, I'm proud of you. I see what you're doing. I see the grind. Like, even for me, like, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of where you came from, the situation you came from, and how you were able to take it and make something bigger and better, and also give back to community, show a different way. Because you're not just inspiring me, or you're not just inspiring them, you're inspiring me too.
Yeah.
I'm saying that to you right now. Like, I appreciate you, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Gratitude. Thank you.
Proud of you too. I know we just met, but proud of you.
Thank you, cuz. Do what we can. We do what we can. But music for me, cuz, it's the ability to show people who I am. It's ability for me to really put out who I am as a person, like my values, and performing for me. Like I love recording music, but performing is where I really, really like to do it. Like performing for me is like, it is a ritual. Like it's like, this is where I get my release from all this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's really, like once I get the microphone in there, like, you know, people actually listen, like I can really give a message that might be able to, you know, change people's perspectives. Like the music might be able to give that change of perspective that people need. It's because of people coming to see me. It's great. Like it's awesome. Like they came out of their way to give you their time, because I gotta give you what you're looking for. Like you know what I mean? Like I have to you know, say certain things that you might go home and you might drive home and be like, man, like that. Like I'm trying to invoke those conversations. Yeah. Like the at home or driving home conversation with the people, like, you know, like, oh, that song felt like this, or like that, and like Lance said this, or like I'm just really trying to show people who I am as a person. 'Cause I don't necessarily get a huge chance to do that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm at home most of the time. I'm raising my babies. My babies are looking at me like, oh, this is dad. You know what I mean? But
you seem like super intentional with everything that you do.
True.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe talk about family life and how's that changed you and how's that inspired you.
So I didn't think. Okay, so check this out. When Georgina was born, we got 2 babies. Julie and myself, we have 2 babies. Georgina, she's 5, she's going on 6. And we got Jamel, he's 16 months. I don't even know if he's 16 months. He's just huge.
Y'all we be talking
Big
about
boy.
25, 75 months. I'm like, y'all just use a year.
Yeah,
He's 1 year
1.5
old.
years.
He is 1, but he looks like he's 3. Like he's
A big boy.
massive. Hands are huge, feet are huge. And yeah, so when Georgina was born,
Mhm.
I was scared to death. When we found out that we were pregnant, I was scared to death because I was like, first of all, I have a lot of, I just like internal stuff. It's like, I haven't dealt with a lot of stuff. Like, is that going to instill on my
Healing.
children? Like, I haven't, like, I don't even take care of myself right now. Is that going to get instilled in my children? Like, is my child going to come up with cerebral palsy? Because I got cerebral palsy, I got 10%. Like the left leg, my left leg, it's like considerably weaker and small than my right, and it affects my whole body. Like you see me moving around, it's
Yeah.
because I'm just moving my body around, right? I'm trying to get it untight. But like just questions like that, I'm like, oh, is that gonna like, she gonna grow up with this? Like I just had a lot of like, but I had a plan. Like you know what I mean? Like I was working. Like I was like, I'm going to school. I'm getting my plumbing ticket. I'm gonna make sure that like our babies are good. You know what I mean? Like we didn't like plan to have a child and like we didn't have nothing in place. Like I was like, okay, we're good.
Yep.
Like I was very confident that we were gonna raise this child healthily, right? But I just had a lot of questions. Like, oh, is all the stuff that I'm dealing with gonna get fired on my children, right? And the last time I cried before Georgina was born, I want to say I was probably like 12, 13. Like that was the last time I cried, and I always thought like, oh man, like, do I even have the ability to cry? I'm even trying. Like, you know what I mean?
But the man's a rock. I thought I was a rock.
Listen, I'm trying.
Yo.
Like, I feel it. I'm just like, I feel the emotion, but the tear is not
Yeah.
coming. Like, and it's just, I'm trying. Like, is something wrong with me? Like, oh, I just didn't want that to kind of get put on my kids. And then when Georgina was born, oh my God, I was a waterfall.
Oh, that's
Waterfall.
good,
I was
though.
like, wow.
He let it out.
That's so
Let it out.
I was a waterfall. I was like, oh God.
Aquaculture.
Thank you. This is
The aqua, but the
mine.
aquaculture.
Aquaculture. And yeah, and it was very, I mean, it was hard. It was hard. It was long labor. Like Georgina, I think was like 36 hours or something like that. It was crazy. And shout out to Jules. Jules is like, I ain't taking no epidurals. I'm going this all natural. You guys ain't playing with me.
Thug life.
No, she was like, because her mom, Dukes, is all natural too. Like her mom had
Okay.
4 babies, and she was like, I'm not doing. You guys ain't giving me no drugs.
Yeah, natural birth.
Yeah, so she was like, I'm gonna follow that tradition. And
36 hours?
36. It might even a bit long. It might even a bit longer than that. Like it was, and Jamel was maybe like 3.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jamel was like,
That's a blessing.
oh, it was a serious blessing, but he was huge, 10.5 pounds. Cuz came out. He got stuck.
Whoa.
He got stuck.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it was. He
They had
was.
to pull him out.
They did.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
They really had to pull him out, and so, but just like I think, and I had this conversation with Sidell Ross. Shout out to Sidell Ross, UniX Square mentor of our youth, and he works at the North Branch Library. We always have these conversations about, man, like we are just trying to be the fathers that we never had. It's either there's 3 things, like you're the father that you never had, you're the father that you did have, and the father that, like the opposite of the father that, like you're the opposite of who that person is. So I'm just like, I'm just trying to be the person that I knew I needed. Like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to be the person that they need, and I'm just trying to be as present as possible because I understand what not having a father is. Like I understand, I've been there, right?
Yeah.
I've understood how lost it made me, right? Like it was like, cause I hated my dad's side of the family. Like I hated them for some reason. I don't know why, like just from things I was like being told about them and like that side of the family. Cause I had first, second cousins running around. We're cousins. I'm like, no, we ain't. See ya. Like really on that identity crisis thing.
It creates
of
that
family.
anger in you too. Like, so your father wasn't in your life, really?
I mean, he was in and out, like he wasn't like super present. And when I had the conversation with him about that, I'm like, cuz like I understand, like I'm so cool with it now. Like, you know what I mean? But when I was 15, 16,
maturity.
17, maturity came where I was like,
Yeah.
cuz I can't be holding this on. Like I can't be
Yeah.
holding this.
And I think it's important for fathers to be able to connect the other siblings that they might have with the cousins and stuff like that. 'Cause,
Oh.
for example, like Reese and Darrell and all them guys.
Yes.
They're like my brothers because our dads like dropped us off at my grandmother's. We got to connect through that, and I feel like they might not have spent as much time with us as they could have, but they dropped us off at my grandmother's, and that was a blessing in itself because then my grandmother, we're getting to see how my grandfather is with my grandmother,
Yeah.
but we're also connecting with each other.
Yes.
So all my first cousins are my brothers, and I call them my brothers. White people might think like, oh, is that really your brother? No, it's not my brother, but it's my brother.
Yeah.
And
That's my cousin.
yeah, but it's important, I find, for the males to be able to connect because there's some males that don't get along with each other, like their own brothers. So then that trickles down to the siblings, and you know what I mean. So I think that it's super important for a male to be in our lives. So for you, if you might not have gotten that directly from your father as much as you could have, where did you kind of get that from?
Yeah, I definitely got it from there was some I got it from others. Like I mean, like my uncle was always around. My
Shout him out.
Uncle Derek.
There you go.
I got two uncles that had an influence on my life. My Uncle Dew, which wasn't the greatest influence, but I love him. And my Uncle Derek, who like really, really instilled me. Listen, I'm not your father. I'm your uncle. I see you out here, and like I'm not gonna just allow you to kind of move over here the way you are. Like he really kind of like he's the one that really taught me how to do my time. He's like, listen, I understand you're out here doing this shit. He was really like on me. He was one of the only like male figures that I knew he was kind of doing his thing too, but like he was always like, Lance, like what are you doing? Like on me. Uncle Derek, man. Shout out to Uncle Derek.
Shout out to Uncle Derek. I find it super important us to have those people that even if we don't listen to them, they were there. And I find like a lot of us young guys, we lash out because we're looking for the attention from somebody that we want to care, and they're too busy doing whatever else they're doing. And then when we get older and we get more mature, we realize like, bro, they were the same as us. They didn't have time for to be out here talking to me every minute, da. But with that intention of, okay, I want to help lead them in the right direction. And when you really think about the guys from back in the day, like they didn't know no better.
And I don't hold it against them. Yeah. Like I really don't, because you guys were in a mode, like you guys are running around, you're doing your thing, because kudos to you. Like, but like I made it a thing to make sure that I knew all my siblings, because I didn't know, because there was a moment I came from Spryfield to the square, and a cousin of mine, V-host, Vincent Ross, he was like, yep, come here. You're coming to meet your brother. Never even knew I had a brother outside of my, didn't even know I had siblings outside of my sister and my mother's children, my sister, my little brother, Brody. He's like, come here. You're coming to meet your brother. I just look at him. This is your brother, Adam. I'm just like, hi, how you doing? And then now how my dad moved, and a lot of men move still to this day is like, they're just having relations. Like but they're not having relationships, right? They're just like, oh, pregnant, pregnant, and that causes a lot of damage, right? And that also causes a lot of damage with the mom dukes, resentment with the mom dukes, and some of the mom dukes is like, you got a lot of these dudes out here running around having all these children, and these don't even know that they have all these children out here, right? Yeah. So in that moment, Adam, we're looking at each other like, oh, we're brothers. Wow. And then his mom dukes comes like, yeah, that's not your brother. Because she couldn't understand and believe that, like my dad was out here running around with a bunch of other, with having other babies, right? So I found out I got like 10 siblings on that side. I got a relationship with all of them. I made sure.
That's real. That's real on you, because even for you, it's important to, if you took the lead to do that, you're able to connect them all. Yeah. And I find like for me, it's like I got 10 on my dad's side, and it's like figuring out how to navigate the resentments in each one of them. Some of them feel different. Some, you know what I mean? Some of them are okay, but it's sometimes the mother got resentment, it instills it in the kid, and then the kid is mad. So it's important to be able to give them your perspective, so that they could be like, hey, oh, I actually thought like this, but I never ever had the conversation with my dad to know. Like for me, like I had a lot of conversations. I asked my dad a lot of different stuff so that I can have that information. Even if he tells me lies or tells me stuff to pacify me, at least I had that conversation. It frees me.
Absolutely.
And then I'm able to have those conversations with my siblings and they'd be like, oh, this one is the favorite. This one is the favorite. Because that is a real thing that comes up when you're younger. And if you don't digest it, or if you don't analyze it, then you'll grow up as an adult having that same feeling like, oh, like dad loved you more than he loved me or whatever like that. And it's important to be able to have those conversations because what it does, it relieves that energy. It relieves that pain of like, oh, my dad loves this woman or this man more than me. And you know what I mean? It's important to be able to have those hard conversations. And if you don't have them, people run around with resentment.
100%.
People run around not getting along. And
Grudges.
it's like, you can't live like that. But that goes to the healing. We're able to heal each other.
Yeah.
You're able to heal and connect your siblings so that no one has to have resenting feelings. Plus, some of your siblings might have a father figure that taught them certain things that you can learn from and teach the other siblings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I have like I'm super like neutral on a lot of stuff. Like I'm able to like really see a lot of sides and like not generally react in a way where it's like offensive or defensive. Like I'm able to kind of understand where people are at.
Yeah, you're not like condemning a certain behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like so like my father's been through a lot in his life. There's a lot of stuff that he hasn't dealt with, and that holds true with how he moved in his life.
Yeah.
At one point I did hold that against him, and then I realized, cuz I can't do that. Like that's nuts, and I'm not willing to put that on my shoulders. I'm not holding that. Like I want to move in a way where it's like I feel free. So to understand where he's coming from, it lifted a lot of weight off of his shoulders too.
And it's important for us to be able to have these conversations because there's a young guy out there that may feel resentment towards their father, but letting that pain go or even reaching out. Because one thing I noticed from like up home dads, I don't know if it's the same with the Square Town dads, but they, like if you don't call them, they're not calling you. But
Universal.
Universal soul on that one.
That teaches a kid is that like a kid is gonna take that as they don't care about me, but it's also gonna teach the kid to not call you because you're a dad and you're saying to your kid if they don't call you, then you're not calling them. But that doesn't teach them how to call you. It doesn't give that relationship. You know what I mean? So for them, it's how hard is it for you to call your dad if he never ever calls you? You know?
Yeah.
He got to teach you through his behavior. Like I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna text you, and then the dads are scared of rejection because then when they do call and text, they get rejected. They get, oh, no, I'm not texting you back or I'm not calling you back. So it's so important to be able to connect and call, or even if you get rejected, to take it on the chin because you're teaching them that you care. When they get older and they look back, like he was texting me, he was calling me, he was there. It was me with my madness or my, you know what I mean? But he's able to teach you, to, you know what I mean? Like for me, for example, like my white grandfather, I got a relationship, but I don't really have a relationship. It's weird because then I asked his other kids like, oh, do you guys talk to your dad all the time? It's like, no. One time he called me, bro, and I was so shocked. I thought you were gonna die or something like that. I was like, this man called me like out the blue. And I was like, is everything okay? Like, you know? But what that allowed me to do is like when he called me, then I can call him.
Yeah.
But if he don't never call me, then my mind's like, oh, if I call him, I feel like I'm bothering him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
but
a
it's like,
burden.
I have to be confident enough to get rejected by my grandfather or my father. But it's important that a father brings it down, like, so it's not them looking up trying to come, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so another couple key figures too, like my stepfather, Gerald, which is my mother. He's not truly on paper my stepfather, but my mother was with him. He still to this day is, because I feel like there's two different things. There's fathers and there's dads, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm kind of getting confused, but I think for me, a father is someone like that. That's the person who's giving you like your gems, like your key, like he's looking over you, like that's your coach, right?
Yeah.
Dad, yes, okay, yeah, like we're blood bond, right?
You made me, thank you.
You made me, thank you, appreciate you. I'm trying
Thanks
to
for welcoming me to the world.
Thank you for having that ritual.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Gerald, that was he's still a father to me. Like that's
real.
my guy. Like, oh, hit me up and be like, man, I seen you on this. I brought him down to the ECMAs with me, like, you know what I mean? Like he was so happy to hear that like we've been nominated for certain things. Mind you, I don't necessarily care about awards. Like I don't, that's not my thing, but I know how important it can be for my family. So like he was so proud. He still is very proud to kind of see where I'm at now, right? And like when I was in high school, I went to Citadel High. Shout out to Citadel High. I was getting in trouble a lot during that time. Like I was doing like Waterville time. I was getting breached a lot. Like I was on house arrest a lot, curfew. Man, I don't remember. I was on curfew from the age of 15 to like 18. Like I only got free like from 15 to 20. I want to say, 15 to 24. Like I've been on conditions. Like I just, like my parole ended. No, sorry, 2018. My parole ended 2018. So when I was 15 up until 2018, I was on conditions, right?
Wow.
Like I was restricted.
Wow.
And when you when you've done Waterville time, like when you're in the system as a youth, there was this thing in place, and I don't know if it's still in place. It was called HYAC, HYAC. I don't know what that stood for, but it was kind of like a flex. But it was specific to like if you were getting in trouble, like you would get taken out of the school and you would do your credits here, right? So for the like I could have yelled at the teacher, like I wasn't feeling good. Yelled at the teacher. They were sending me, okay, yeah, you're doing the rest of your credits at HYAC, and like it was very interesting because there'd be some people that would miss 3 months of school and be allowed back in. I would miss a week, not even a week, like 2 days. Yep, you're doing the rest of your time at HYAC. So it was like it was almost like a little jail school, right? Because like a lot of the staff from Waterville worked there. Like it was interesting. They were running around with heaters on them. Like they were running, like it was crazy. But there was two teachers there that are still in my life today. Tracy Devereaux and Jason Langley. Yes, Jason Langley. Them teachers, they saw something to me because I didn't. They saw something and they did not let me forget. Like any chance that they got, they would take me in the room and they would talk to me like they were my dad. Like they were like, "Cause what are you doing? Like like this, whatever you're trying to be, that is not." And they drilled that in me, and it was honestly like if I didn't have that, like I wouldn't have continued to get my education because they were on me.
We all need people like that are genuine, that are real, that tell us that, and we can feel the realness, and then it inspires us to be what they see in us. You know what I mean? It's so important. It's so crucial that we have teachers in schools that aren't just there for the paycheck, that actually care about the students. Like same instance for me. If it wasn't for a certain teacher when I was in high school, wouldn't have went to university. Wouldn't be here right now. Would have ended up falling through the cracks. But it takes that one person to make that one difference, or to talk to you in a certain way, or to instill something certain in you, and then boom, and you want to make them proud, you know. And even for you to remember the name Shout Them Out, because you want to make them proud, and you are making them proud, you know. And for them, it probably makes their whole purpose of what they're doing. It fills up their cup.
Yeah. Yep. It was them. It was them figures, man. Like, and it was them figures that really showed me my value without me understanding what my value was. That has allowed me to kind of move in a different way. Like to kind of have that in the back of my head. Like these guys actually understand my value. So like when I'm moving around now, like and I feel like I'm in a devalued setting, or like I'm being devalued. Like I'm just like, nah, like you're wrong, cuz like. My people over here, they don't see that, right? And another teacher too, Sarah Overmars from Citadel High.
Shout out.
She's still, I think she still teaches at Citadel. But that was one teacher. Like when I went to, like I was in high school in the trenches. Like I was staying up 24, 48 hours selling dope, and then coming to school and like trying to do work.
Trying to make it.
I was truly treating Citadel like a drug den. Like I was like, I'm selling all the weed up here. Like, you know what I mean? But really showing up to class, like trying to show up to class. But her class, drama, like I showed up to that class, and it made me put down all my walls, like all the walls that I had, and like thinking I was like this, okay, I got to run the streets and and like someone mess with me, they're getting beat up, Like I put down all my walls, and like she really, there was one moment like she does this thing that I can't remember where it started, but it was like this project that they do. It's called "You Think You Know Me," so you think you know me, you think you got me figured out. Where it's like, and it's a thing where like we know each other, like we're in each other's space, and like we don't know each other like truly. We don't know each other like family, like you know what I mean. So like I only see what you're portraying. Like everybody only sees what we're portraying of one another.
It's true.
But this project was like, okay, you think you know me,
Mm.
but then really bearing what it is that you're dealing with, right? So it was like teenagers really kind of like showing. Like there was this one lady who I watched, cousin. She was like, and I thought she was. I mean, like, I wouldn't tell that she would have went through this shit. Like, she was talking about how her stepdad used to, like, really touch her when she was young. And, like, but, like, she carried herself. Like, she was like, I run this. Like, I'm president of this school. Like, you know what I mean? She carried herself. But when she told me that story, cuz I broke down in tears.
Yeah.
And Miss Overmeyer seen me. She's like, oh. She's like, I see you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, like I said, like, I had walls up like you couldn't imagine. Like I would not let people that were trying to be my friend be my friend.
Yeah.
I was not letting people in my life, mainly because reflected in my relationships too. Like there were certain times like I was going through stuff and I would like I can't allow you to be exposed to this. Like so I was pushing people away because I didn't want them involved in the stuff that we were getting in. I didn't want them coming down. These like I understand how valuable your teenage years are. You come down the hood with us, cuz you are not your whole life is gonna change, right?
You ain't going back the same.
You're not going back the same. So it's like I try to keep people away from that. And like when people would come and hang down the hood, cuz I'd be like, cuz what are you doing down here?
Yeah.
You know what happens down here. Like you know what it is down here. This is different. Like like and I'm sure it's with every community too. It's like cuz like that's why I always encourage folks stay away from me. I don't want you down here hanging with us. If you're hanging with my buddies, I'm gonna ask you why are you down here?
Yeah.
Why are you hanging down here? Get out of here.
See you, bye.
Bye, right? And I was really on that tip. Like people would try to hang with me, like, oh, I want to be your friend, cuz no. And I used to like there was one thing I used to do. I used to sit in the foyer at Citadel. I had $100 in toonies and loonies in my pocket. Anybody that come through, toonie. People would come to me, cuz I got no lunch money today. Here. Just hook it up. You know what I mean? I'd be pitching toonies and loonies with Chris Longway. Shout out to Chris Longway. But like I would just be kind of like posted up. Like I was like cuz at 15, 16, 17 years and like really looking like while I was in school and looking in the cafeteria and just seeing how kids are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like I was like, man, I missed that. Like I did not get that. 14, 15, 16 cuz I felt like I was 40 years old. Like the amount of experience and the amount of like stuff that we're exposed to at an early age, man, I felt like I was way too old for this. Like it was very interesting to go through high school with that type of like awareness and maturity and like experience. And I was like, man, like, so when people, and I felt very uncomfortable going outside of the hood for a while. Like I would go to school, but I felt uncomfortable. And like when I got invited to my first high school party in grade 12 and cause I was a kid, like I was so happy. Like someone came up to me, he's like, Lance, we're having a party. You're invited. You're inviting me to the party? Like I was so happy. Like, wow. I was like, so in my head, I'm gonna say, okay, so you know, I must be doing something right. I'm a bit, you know, because they wasn't inviting black people to them parties. They was not inviting hood kids to them parties. So when they invited me to the party, man, I was so happy because I was like a kid in a candy store, man. I bought my bottle. I had my little bit of weed and stuff. I brought that down to the party, sat it on the table. Man, DJ was down there. DJ Smith, shout out to DJ Smith. He was down there. Keith Graham. Like it was the sports guys, right? I'm the only hood guy there. I was like, man, this feels good. Everyone's coming over. Can I get some drinks? No, you can't. No, you can't. I'm over here. I'm chilling. I'm rolling up my own. You can hit some weed though. You good, but you ain't getting no my liquor. You should have brought some liquor down here. But you won't be mooching off me today. No, I'm having fun. And it was like, it just exposed me to a different dynamic of friends. Like a different dynamic of people. Like South End folks compared to North End folks are very different from one another. And we were able to learn. I was able to learn from you know, a lot of folks that wouldn't have grown up in our like experience and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I was super, super conscious of what I brought people around. Because like I said, you come down there, cousin, at any given moment, we could be out there doing something that you have never, ever heard.
Yeah.
And you're a liability at this point.
Could change their life.
Liability.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it
the
could-
liability because, like, hey, if something happens
Unfamiliar.
and you're there, them guys might not trust you, so they
Yep.
might have to do, you know.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, it was just very and I was able to I was able to internalize all that stuff through like my art. Like internalize it through the art because I mean I've never been to therapy. I've never ever. The way I deal with things is very like okay, I'm experienced. Very meditative though, right? I'm very like I sit with it, I think about it, I understand where it's coming from. A lot of this stuff, how I deal with it, it's very internal. So like music for me has really truly, and my art has given me the ability to kind of use it as a therapy.
Nice.
Like really, and just ask myself questions, like conversation, cause that is a form of therapy for me. Like just being open, because I'm super, super open with stuff. Like when I tell people that are coming home from being inside, cause listen, be honest with where you come from. Like be honest that you spend time in there. Be honest because if you don't reshape, if you don't take it, what is the word? Reclaim it.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to feel comfortable out here.
Yeah.
It's hard to change a feeling or change who you are if you don't accept who you are. If you don't accept
Absolutely.
it and you think other people aren't going to accept it, it's so hard. When you start to really truly be yourself, that's when you really shine. And then when you start being yourself and you start shining, you start being more of yourself and you start to realize like, hey, actually these people, like when you tell the people really where you came from, what you really been through, it adds to your character, it adds to your story. It gives you more of a dynamic. It makes you 3-dimensional versus 2-dimensional. When people think you're 2-dimensional and you act 2-dimensional and you're trying to fit in and be 2-dimensional, then you're just a sheep.
There's one thing I tell people that's kind of funny. I tell people, listen, if I'm in a room with you and I fart, I'm telling you I farted. Yes, that was me.
Yeah.
Because I got to feel comfortable, right? And it's the same thing too with your story. Because I have to tell you where I've been, like my story. I have to tell you these things so I feel comfortable around you.
100%. And it makes you shine brighter because even for me, like back when we were younger, when we used to talk to girls, we used to do stuff. We're not from up home. We're from Cole Harbour. We're from this other place because not that we're ashamed from where we're from, but it's like we're not going to get what we want if we tell people where this is actually where we're from. But when you realize like people are going to love you or they're going to hate you or they're not going to like you based off the connotations that they know of you. But when you shine and you just say, stand on it and I'm from this place. Like for me now, when I tell people I'm from North Preston, I give other people permission to be from North Preston. And I know that whatever success I go and get, I'm letting the people know where I'm from so that them young people can say where they from. Versus
And they feel
like
comfortable with that.
yeah, so versus like what you see on TV is like, bruh, that's what they see on TV, like what the outside community sees on TV, that's 1% of community. And if you were to paint white society with like, oh, this guy's a serial killer or this guy's this, it's like, oh, all you guys are like that. But we don't look at it like that because we know reality. But they look at our community because they're not in our community, so they don't know our community. They just paint it with the same brush.
Yes, yes. And it's very interesting too because like I was talking to someone from Tirana and they were like, man, like it's so interesting coming here because like you can kind of feel like there's still like a semi-divide between people.
100%.
But like he's like in Toronto, like I feel privileged because like, you know, everybody's super mixed, like like it's very integrated, like people get along with each other. But here it's just like you can still feel that there's some type of like segregatedness.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And I could tell that like during COVID is when I had this big realization of like communities are so segregated. It's like when you ask your friend, like your black friends, like, do you got any white friends? They'll say, yeah. I say, but do you got a white friend? Like go through your call log. It's a lot of people, and then same with the white people. They don't have a black friend that they talk to on a day-to-day. So it's like it's hard for you to have that real connection. One of my friends that lived out west, he's a white guy I went to high school with, and he lived with a bunch of other white guys that were from out west. And during the Black Lives Matter, they were like kind of laughing or saying to him like, "You got black friends?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, what, like you don't got a black friend?" And then they were like, "No, like there's probably like 2 or 3 black people at our school. Like everybody can't be friends with them, like you know." And then I was just like, man, like it made me realize like some people don't have white friends, some people don't have black friends. And then when you think about other people like maybe Indian, Chinese that come here, it's like we're not so integrated as our minds make us think we are. It's like, oh, we're Nova Scotian. But if we go to, if you say you're a white guy and we go to China, we're in China, we run into each other, we got that shared, oh, you're from Scotia. So I feel like it's important for us to integrate and connect with all different types of cultures so that we can learn and grow and not be so segregated. But it's so easy to be comfortable without the, you know what I mean? People that are different. It's hard to have those hard conversations. It's hard to be like, to find the allies or for even, because sometimes white people be saying outrageous stuff. Like I got white friends that they'll say something and I'm just like, bro, like you really believe that? Like you really think like that?
Crazy.
And it makes you question like, are you really my friend? Like you really believe that of me and my people? And it's like some people have these things that like we're not like human as them or something like that. It's crazy.
I think though, in saying that, I think we have to give room. We have to give room for people's ignorance too. Like we have to give that room because some people, they are ignorant and they just need to hear that. They just need to. Just need to change their perspective, right? Yep. So like that's why I always like to I always approach things with care, like, and I approach things with education rather than, oh, that's fuck you then. You know what I mean? Like
you have to take the time to educate them because it's our, like, because sometimes it's like, you know that you can't change the person, so you'll be like, if you know the person, you know they ain't going to change.
Oh, okay, that's lost cause.
But if it's someone you know, like it's our duty as black people, as white people, as all people, to educate others on our culture, educate others on their ways of thinking, or help change their perspective, to take the time, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely. And I feel like if you like attack or go at someone with that light, they get defensive. Whereas if you come from that caring standpoint and want to see, like, let's say where they're coming from, then you can get more growth in terms of their ignorance, things like that.
Yeah.
You learn off of your experiences, obviously.
Yeah.
So maybe touch on, or if there's a young version of you or young people listening to this podcast, what are a few things or nuggets that you would leave them with to inspire them or push them to be their authentic self? Because I find that's a lot of what we touched on.
Because the biggest thing, man, is to travel. Like I try to instill that in a lot of the young folks, like who just feel like they're so stuck, and like they don't have anything else. I'm just like, cuz travel, like get out of here, like go over to India, like go over to like Jamaica, and like go to South Africa and Africa, like go to these places and really learn, just experience the world, because like we're so always confined to, like, you know, we're always so confined living in these boxes, and we think that's all we got is these boxes. But like as soon as you get outside of it and you kind of really see, and you get to like when you're outside looking in, like, and you get to experience life in a different way. Like that's my big thing is travel. Like I didn't get the opportunity to do that. Like, and I don't know if, and I know 2028 when I can get my pardon, you better believe I'm going somewhere.
Get on the road.
I'm going on the road.
I resonate with that because I went to China before.
Yeah.
I went to LA, and I went to somewhere else. But it opens up things in your brain, and things in your idea of the world changes. Like when you think about, like, I've never been to Africa yet, but like what you see on TV is not where Africa is.
Exactly.
And what you see on TV is not what China is. When I went to China, all those stereotypes and stuff melted away, like right when I got to the airport. Like you're interacting, you're meeting different types of people. Like there still might be some racism stuff, but like it's so many things that it blows your mind when you go and travel to these places. Like it'll change your whole perspective. And so I agree with what you're saying. There's like, get out there, travel, learn some new experiences, open up your mind. Don't be so confined to here and focusing on whatever we got going on here, because there's other places that could inspire you. It could make you see like, hey, we don't got it that bad. Yeah. Or hey, we might got it worse, or we might got it way better than others. You know what I mean? So it's get out there and experience, meet some new people. Don't be so confined to the people that you know. Like make some new friends, build some new relationships. Like don't be so closed off. You know what I mean? Like open yourself up to be like, new friends, you know what I mean? Because different cultures believe different stuff. You know what I mean? You could learn to harder work ethic. You could learn like different rituals. There's so many things that you could learn from, like, you know, like, and then your friends will invite you. Like I got a friend that invited me to come to India, and it's like, he's over there now, and I'm just like, ain't got the funds, bro. But like, I'll be over next time. When I got the funds, I'll be there. You know.
Let me get this grant quick.
Yeah, you know. So it's like
apply.
It's like take those opportunities whenever you get the chance to travel, go wherever.
Yeah, I think it's important that we also understand like our local history
True.
as much as we can. Like I don't necessarily think it's just so odd because it's like there's a few things like truly. I mean, be yourself. Like experience life.
True.
Experience life. Like your teenage years, because experience teenage years how you see fit. But like I would suggest like a lot of people truly take more care with learning their local provincial history, learning of themselves, genealogy, learning who your family is, asking your grandparents the craziest questions about who's who. What were these people like? Really get to know who your family are like, because I just find like you'll understand a lot about yourself if you can kind of look back and be like, okay, oh, my uncle was like that. Wow. Okay, sweet. All right. My aunt was like that. Oh, I get that from my aunt. Wow. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can just kind of piece together who you are with like learning that stuff. Yeah, like local history, your family history, your family genealogy, like asking just questions about like your people, and asking others about your people too. Like, you know, because guys, I grew up, my grandfather, God rest his soul, Brother Carvery. I see I see my grandfather for who he is, but other people, they will see him differently, right? But I want to know that.
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
Yeah,
what do you
your side?
perspectives, right?
Yeah, what are your perspective on that? Like, so like just ask questions, but travel.
Love
That
it.
is a big one.
Bless.
If you're saving up your money, you're working with your parents, you with your parents, save that money up and go somewheres with them or whatever, right? But because
go,
I mean,
go backpacking.
you can't be 15, 16 backpacking by yourself. That's pretty dangerous. But any chance you get, travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Perfect. Yeah. So we're coming to the close for the podcast today, and we just want to make sure that we captured everything that you wanted to say. So if there was any last things that we did not touch on or mention that you want to make sure that the audience hears.
Well, we got a television series coming out in the fall.
Nice.
It's called Generations.
Awesome.
We're going across Nova Scotia, talking with Black elders of the Black communities, and trying to get their perspective on their experience, what it was like growing up for them, who their families are, any folklore, any stories, any historical elements. That's opening up a lot of stuff historically and generationally, like just trying to make that, trying to reconnect the generations. Like honestly, that's what it is. It's like reconnecting our generations with the older generations, learning from each other. What can the older generation teach us as a younger generation where we're not being lost and consumed through technology?
Love it.
Everything we need to learn and know. Yes, there's going to be a lot of differences between stuff. And yes, some of our grandparents and parents can be really rigid on their views. But everything we need to know is in them.
Yeah.
So it's a two-way street. Like I tell everybody, it's like if older generations are willing to be open enough to put their walls down to learn from us, and vice versa, the exact same. My gosh, the amount of stuff we can learn from each other. It's awesome. So yeah, that's coming out in October, fall. I am piecing together a project right now in terms of art. I'm working on a theater show. I'm developing a theater show with 2B Theater, the Aquakultre project. That's hopefully going to have that. We're developing that. Hopefully, we're going to have that done by like April 2025. It's a very interesting experience working in theater. It's very different for me, but it's more concert than actual play. But I'm learning a lot through that, and I'm also slowly putting together new material for a new album.
Nice.
Which basically following like a thread of I'm trying to hone in on this idea of following a thread of fatherhood through my paternal lens in my genealogy from 1783 up until now.
Oh, wow.
So like I'm trying to see like what fatherhood would be like for us coming here for the first time. And then really expanding on what fatherhood is to now.
Perfect.
And it's a big one. and I'm trying to hone in on it, but I'm just slowly piecing together that idea and slowly piecing together songs with that. And I'm just trying to take my time on that one. But other than that, I'm just rehearsing, practicing my art. I work with Love Nova Scotia. I'm a youth support worker now. I'm a Red Seal plumber as well. Don't ask me to do your toilet. Ask me to do your.
Got a question after.
I will consult. But so I'm working with youth, and I'm working at Love. I think since September. I find since being with Love, I am learning a lot, and I just kind of realized, man, like I should have been doing this since forever. Like this really feels good.
Yeah.
Community work filling up your cup, brother.
Yes, that's what it is. And I'm trying to for me, like I'm a real community boost to the ground, feet to the wall, community artist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Community dude. Like I really feel like, I'm trying to be as much as a community resource as possible. Yeah, I've navigated the music industry in a way where it's like I don't necessarily appreciate most of the music industry's values and standards, but I've learned a lot, and there's going to be, and like someone has said to me, he's like the older I want to say like this 50, 60 generation. They've learned a lot, they know a lot, they did a terrible job at relaying it to us. So I'm really trying to get as much information history wise, genealogy wise, art wise, music industry wise, where I'm able to really share that with people, and because I think passing the torch is the most important. Like passing that knowledge down is the most important thing you can do. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Also being in the position you're in is like you're showing us like, hey, it can be done, and people looking at that and then getting the information from you so that they can take the torch, because first it's you doing it, you passing, and now it's like you passing the baton. Yeah.
And I'm just, but I find it, I'm trying to get out of like being asked first. Like I'm trying to get out of like, I'm trying to get more into like a presentation of facts and presentation of like, experiences. So like, boom, give it to people and then get asked the questions rather than like holding on to it and what I'm saying?
I like what you're saying, because I think about that too, because it's similar in the aspect of, okay, your music, I'm clothing, and it's oftentimes people ask me all these questions. It's like I could make a YouTube video, break down all the steps that I went through, and then anyone message me, say, hey, I got a question. It's like, here, go watch this video. Then you got any other more questions? Then you can send it my way. And so would it be similar or something like that?
Not more, but more like this based, like, almost like, keynote speech based, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really trying to, see if I can't create something where it's like, I'm able to kind of like bring this information to folks.
100% you can do it. And I think that would be a way that I could see it happen, is like you basically have a presentation about a little bit about you, a little bit about, not a lot about the content that you're trying to portray, and then at the end is like the Q&A.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Break it down, because then what you could do with that, you could facilitate, you could be a keynote speaker, you could be host a seminar, host a you know what I mean? Any type of event type of thing where people want to learn about that. Yeah. Stuff like that. And this could be a segue. So like anybody here watching this, reach out to Lance. Shout out your way to contact you. How can people reach you?
I mean, I probably need to change this, but my DMs are always open, and you can reach me easily. Aquakultre at Aquakultre, AQUAKULTRE. You can hit me up on the emails, aquakultremgmt@gmail.com. I'm not giving you my number though, so just holler at me on the DM tip. I'll holler at you back.
Yeah,
100%. So at the end of the show, we usually say one word checkout, and the one word checkout is, I'll let you break it down.
Shout out to the checkouts.
Yeah. So the one word checkout is basically just one word that's describing how this podcast episode made you feel, how you've been feeling this week, today, anything that just describes how you're truly feeling, and you can break it down after that too.
One word that's describing
how you feeling.
Oh man, chaos.
All right, break that one down. Why chaos?
Chaos. Well, okay, so I mean, there's a lot that I'm currently working on. Like I'm doing a lot of like editing for like our television series, and trying to get those things done. Just children running around your head all the time. Trying to be present in my work as well, like a lot of just organizing in that way too, learning in that way. But this today, it gave me a chance to just kind of decompress from all that stuff. So maybe chaos/decompressing.
Nice.
I like it.
Two words.
Hyphen it.
Yeah. She does that sometimes.
Yeah. I'll hyphen like 3 words together. But I feel like my word is intentional. I feel like I'm really inspired by a lot of the stuff that you do. You move with intention and you stick by your values, especially I feel like in that industry as well. It's something that's refreshing to see. So intentional.
Yeah, so my one would be love, you know, your love for community, our love for community. I think you work with love, you know, levo violence. Just love from this whole conversation, from you being able to share your journey, being able to connect with us. I feel like I know you more. And that's love. It takes love to be able to, you know what I mean, open up and be like that. So that's my thing.
Yeah. Much love to you both. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you guys are doing. And thank you for allowing me to come through and get to know each other a bit more.
100%. Shout out to your maybe albums.
Shout out to Aqua Socks. That's Aqua Socks Holos with me and Socks, Ghetto Socks. You got Bleeding Gums Murphy live over here. That's a live rendition. I'm pretty sure we did like 11-piece band with that, arranged by Aaron Costello, but produced. It's a project. Bleeding Gums Murphy is a project between myself and DJ Uncle Fester. And we have like a digital version, like an album version, but this is like the live version that was shot and recorded at the Marquee Ballroom or at the Derby. And Don't Trip, that was the latest record that I put out. Very collaborative album. One of the songs on there too is one of my favorite songs on there. It's called Magic, and that's a song that really kind of breaks down like that conversation that I had with my dad.
Nice.
It's funky though. Like, so I made it really intentional. I'm like, okay, a lot of the old school jams, like they're so good.
Yeah.
Like you can dance to these, but when you really listen to what they're saying, because they're talking some real stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to be really intentional with how I put that one out. But Don't Trip, it's probably the greatest kitchen party album that you can possibly put on.
Yeah.
Like, it is the party album. You don't need to put on anything else. You put that on from start to finish at a party, you're fine.
It's front to back, it slaps.
Front to back, it slaps. I'm telling you, and I don't normally do that. But Don't Trip, front to back, gangsta. That's the one, that song or that album got long listed for Polaris Prize, I think. No, yeah, long listed for Polaris. Polaris is like a prestigious, like Canadian thing that recognizes the top albums in Canada. That got top 40.
Oh, wow.
Tough.
Top 40. Bleeding Gums Murphy. That got I think it got nominated for something. Like I said, I don't necessarily like the award stuff, but Polaris, I like Polaris because it's really based on like artistic merit.
Yeah.
Legacy and Don't Trip both. They got nominated.
Nice.
Or they got long listed for that. So I'm very happy with that.
Real.
That got album of the year, I think, at like hip hop album of the year at like ECMAs or Music Nova Scotia or something. But they're old. Don't Trip is the one.
Keep building, keep creating, and keep going, brother, man.
Happy
Thank
for
you.
Proud of you. Good work. So thanks, y'all, for tuning in today. We had a fantastic session with Aquakultre. Lance, but we're going to call him Aqua, water and the pipelines, or what's the other stuff you got going? I'll play it. But y'all already know what to do, so go like, follow, subscribe, comment, share with all of our socials, Instagram, YouTube.
Yes, and you can find us everywhere. Also, you can find his music on all streaming platforms.
Yep.
Maybe shout it out.
Yeah, Spotify, any one of those. I would prefer Tidal because it pays you the most. But also Bandcamp. If you really want to support any artist, you buy their stuff from Bandcamp or directly from any of their merch avenues. But Bandcamp is probably the best way you can support any artist because you can directly pay the artist what they're asking for. But a lot of my music is pay what you can. So you can take it for free if you want. I don't like charging people. I really don't like charging people for my music. Take it because the community helped get where I'm at. And if the community wants it, they can have it.
There you go. That's right.
Alrighty. Peace.
There you go.
So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to our Feature Friday podcast. And Just wanted to make sure that you guys are connected on all platforms. So wherever you're tuning in, maybe even leave us a 5-star review.
If you're watching on YouTube, hit like and subscribe.
And on our social medias as well, you can follow us at ANS Lab or at African Nova Scotian Youth Lab as well on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got the whole mumble jumble. It'll be in our link tree in our bio.
Don't forget to enter our contest that we have in each episode.
And the way to enter that contest will be sprinkled throughout our episodes, so make sure that you're listening and paying attention.
Each episode may be different, but comment below wherever you are.
And if you don't use social media and you're one of those people, you can even reach out to us by email at anslab@onenorthend.com.
The details are in the episode description.
And last but not least, we want to make sure that we get you guys connected to our resource, our network of resources, the Grapevine newsletters. So to get subscribed, you can check the link in our bio and subscribe yourself. But if you're not that tech savvy, you can also email us at anslab@onenorthend.com and we can get you hooked up.
We'll see you on the next episode.
See you next month.
Let's get it.
Feature Friday.
What's your favorite thing about Fridays?
That's a good question.
The features.